Bitcoin fixed me. It literally changed my brain chemistry, Brandon.
100%. I was stuck in a very high time preference. Bitcoin helped me see that there is a brighter, sunnier tomorrow.
Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Sat Chats, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. So if you are brand new to Bitcoin, we want to chat about sats with you. Head to satchats.com to grab your slot in the studio today. I'm your host, Stuart, Bitcoin Maxi, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones from my Bitcoin laser eyes.
And I'm your co-host, Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus, proud multi-coiner, Bitcoin smash buyer. Smash the subscribe button just like I smash buy Bitcoin every chance I get. You'll be helping us unlock a live show Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are one of the first 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel, you will automatically be entered to win 1 million sats.
Don't be subscriber number 1001. That's gonna hurt. So we are on the road to number 99 here as well. Today we have got number 59, Brandon, who is the he's the counterpart to number 49, Daniel. So all of our satillionaires might remember number 49, Daniel. Good, clean, crisp Danish fellow. The hair was combed nicely. He seemed like he lived in a neat, tidy, small European space, which we enjoyed. He talked about founding Sovereign and got Chris real hot and bothered about adopting a Bitcoin treasury for Ithaca Hummus. So today we have number 59, Brandon, who is the CEO of Sovereign. So number 49 is the founder and the CMO. Brandon is the CEO. We're going to be getting his Bitcoin story today. But before we do, Brandon, help our satillionaires out there get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not as well put together as Daniel. I don't have well-combed hair. I actually need a terribly bad haircut here. And I was glad I listened to that episode actually last night in preparation for this, and I'll try to be as articulate as him. So my journey started my first Touchpoint started in 2014. I played online poker kind of semi-professionally. I had a lot of friends that were professional poker players, and was basically doing it as a job in addition to my work. I would come home at night and play for hours, 10, 20 hours a week, something like that. And I was playing on Full Tilt, and they went bankrupt in a Ponzi scheme they were running where they were taking customer deposits and basically funding operations, taking distributions. Does this sound like every crypto exchange out there? Probably does. Full Tilt were the OGs and rugging their depositors. So I eventually was able to get a proof of claim filed in the bankruptcy. When Full Tilt filed bankruptcy, they had what was called Black Friday, where all these poker sites basically got clipped at once, and Full Tilt was insolvent. My former job, I spent about 19 years in the traditional finance workout. It's called bankruptcies, restructurings, these type of things. And so I knew how to navigate a bankruptcy. I got a claim into the Full Tilt bankruptcy, got my money back at the end of the thing 3 years later, and had no way to get those funds. I couldn't connect the bank account. I couldn't get them sent to a bank account. I couldn't get a check. So I started reaching out to my friends that were professionals going, what am I supposed to do here? How do you guys get your money out? And I said, can I just send this to your account and you guys just give me some cash or whatever? And they go, sure. Or you could use Bitcoin. We could just send you some Bitcoin. I said, what is that? I don't know what that is. So, well, it's like an alternative currency. It's like a few $100. And I just kind of laughed. I just scoffed, as everyone does, and just said, "That's crazy. Give me the dollars." So obviously regret that decision horribly, but let's be honest, I probably would have spent it or sold it at $600 or something and thought I doubled my money, and I was the smartest guy on the planet anyways. So fast forward to 2017, the thing's running up to like $20,000. All my friends are, "Oh, you got to get on this thing. You got to do this." And I had no idea what's going on. I, did what every first person does, download a Coinbase account, start looking at 1900 different coins, like what's the difference between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin. And then there's this Ethereum that seems to be doing like even better than Bitcoin. And I had no idea what was going on. And at that point in time, I kind of got the general idea that these are scarcer than dollars. They're making a lot of dollars. They're not making as much of these other things, all these cryptocurrencies. Therefore, it's kind of better than the dollar. And I was like, okay, that value proposition makes sense. So being kind of conservative by nature, I just decided, you know what, I'll just get Bitcoin. It's the biggest one. I bought a very small amount, and it kind of just sat there in my Coinbase account forever. Not forever, for a few years, and it was just there. And then 2020 rolled around, and the lockdowns happened, and I couldn't believe it. I was beside myself. I had been watching for a decade, 2 decades. They've been trying to foist a pandemic upon us. It was bird flu, it was MRSA, it was SARS-1, it was always something. And I'm like, these guys every 2 years try to panic us about some virus. It's a racket. They raise a bunch of funds for some nonprofit. Everyone gets scammed. Nothing happens. Life goes on. And the only group of people I really found consistently pushing back against everything were Bitcoiners. And I saw, man, there's a lot of people with laser eyes calling out the insanity of this lockdown on Twitter. And I said, okay, what is this thing about? Maybe I need to learn a little more. And that's kind of what started me down the rabbit hole in earnest. And in 2020, there was nothing to do. There were no concerts to go to. There were no ball games. Half the people in your life wouldn't even let you over to their house. There was just nothing to do. And so I just started listening to as many podcasts, reading as many books, going crazy. I did, unfortunately, the altcoin casino for a little bit. Quickly figured out that was a waste of time, and ultimately started really to take the Bitcoin ethos of low time preference seriously. And that is really when changes started happening in my life. And I was raised in a Christian household. I was always a person of faith. I went to church, but I kind of just went through the motions. I didn't really believe, I believed it, but I kind of just didn't act out on it. And Bitcoin sort of resetting my life. I always just felt like I was on a hamster wheel. I delayed starting a family. I was just like, I'm going to work till 65, cash in my 401k, and then I'm going to die. And like, it was this kind of bleak existence where I didn't really have any hope for the future financially. I didn't ever think I'd be able to go do what I wanted to do or start a family when I wanted to start it. And a lot of that was nihilism, and that kind of, was a wedge with my faith as well. But getting back into my faith was really spurred on by me finding Bitcoin, getting hope for the future, and just realizing how much time of my life I had wasted. I had just wasted so much time doing so many temporal, stupid things in this life, and the important things like, having a family and time with loved ones and your faith and belief in God were just all taking a back seat to other things that I was the perfect victim of the system. I was on the hamster wheel. I was paying into the system a lot of money. I was blinded to everything. I consumed the TV. I consumed the entertainment. I consumed the products. I was like the prototype. I got my university degree that's sitting right behind me here, that you're a good worker, go work, and did all these things. And Bitcoin finally broke me out of that, and it just completely changed my worldview. It reset everything, and I just can't even begin to explain how much better the last 5 years of my life have been since discovering that, even with the insanity of the lockdowns and the sort of disappointment I had in sort of the human race, and especially Americans, that, yeah, the government's going to do what the government wants to do, but it was up to us to say no, and we didn't do it. And that was kind of depressing and dark. But at the same time, it was like, man, we have these tools like Bitcoin and now Nostr to sort of escape that. And I'm regrounded in, a relationship with Jesus Christ, and my faith is back, and it's just completely altered everything. I know for a fact I'm a better friend. I'm a dad now. I'm a better husband. All these things have just changed profoundly for the better in my life.
Can you explain time preference to our satillionaires?
Yeah, so time preference really is just how much do you value the present versus how much do you value the future. And if you have a low time preference, that means you value your time right now low. You don't highly value it. You value your future time greater than your present time. And I was stuck in a very high time preference, or valuing my time now mentality, where I just had to maximize living in the moment, have your fun, just do whatever's exciting now. And not really, I had no plan for the future. I legitimately had zero plan for the future. I mean, if you asked me what I was going to do in 5 years, I'd laugh at you. Like, that's a joke. That's something crazy people do with a journal. That's not for me. And it's the ability to, how much are you discounting your future for the now, is really the concept of time preference.
How did Bitcoin introduce you to time preference, and how did that change you, right? Because in your story there, we talk about Bitcoin fixes this. It almost sounds like Bitcoin fixed Brandon, quite frankly. And Bitcoin fixed me. I'm telling you, I'm the same way. Bitcoin fixed me. It changed me. It literally, Bitcoin changed my brain chemistry, Brandon. Like, that's where I am right now. That's what I believe. But for our satillionaires who might not be familiar with what happens to you when you finally grok Bitcoin for real, how did Bitcoin introduce you to the concept of time preference? And it almost seems like that aspect of Bitcoin was one of the most powerful, transformative aspects for you, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. So how did it introduce you to that concept, and why was that concept so dramatically transformational for you?
100%. And Bitcoin helped me see that, oh, if I save my money in something, I had an investment guy that my dad had recommended me, and it's the same thing, buy QQQ, put your money in the S&P index, and maybe own some treasuries or short-term CDs for money you need in the next 6 months or something like that. And it was like, I was doing that. I was at a job, but I was never getting anywhere. It was just like treading water. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do here? I don't. It's like I had to go liquidate everything to buy a house, to get a down payment. I had to, it's like, when does this end? And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm building some equity in my house because I'm paying down 50% of my monthly payment is going to principal. The rest is, to interest. And okay, so I'm building some equity. I didn't even understand any of these concepts. And it was just like, I'm going to be doing this forever. So if I'm going to be doing this forever, why wouldn't I live for the now? Why wouldn't I enjoy my time now? Just live in the moment, just YOLO, bro. And it was like, it was so bleak that I never really saw a future where it's like, oh my gosh, I can actually do what I want, provide for my family, and be comfortable knowing that my money will be there. And I really cut my teeth in my job in 08, 09 during the great financial crisis, and seeing firsthand. I was foreclosing on homes of people that had lived in their places for 20 years. I was shutting down business. I was repossessing cars. I mean, I did the dirtiest of the dirty work of the fallout of the great financial crisis. And I remember being forced at our institution to take the TARP money, which is troubled asset relief program for those who don't remember those fun times in 08, 09. And I just asked, I said, where do we get this money? And they're like, well, the government gave it to us. The government's forcing us to take it. Well, where do they get it? Well, is it in the Treasury? Do we have this? Or they're giving this to Chase? They're giving this to Bank of America. So where are we getting all of this? It's like, oh, they're just making it up. They're just adding another $1 trillion of money into the system. And I was like, that's so insane. That's so crazy. And I never really put two and two together, that it was just that constant addition of money that meant I was never going to get anywhere. It didn't matter what I did. Short up, which is why everyone buys lottery tickets and gambles in the crypto casino or bets on football, because they don't see any way out. It's like, how can I make a quick buck? I need luck. That is the only way I'm going to get ahead. That's the only way I can get my way out of here. My way to financial independence is I got to invest in a unicorn. I got to find Uber before, Mark Andreessen gets his money from the government to put it into something. And so if that's all true, which it was, if you don't know Bitcoin, if you don't understand Bitcoin and being able to actually protect your wealth and protect your money into the future, all of that is reality for you. If you haven't discovered Bitcoin, that is reality. And so it's only through discovering Bitcoin, discovering the ability to hold a hard money into the future, that you're actually able to say, I can get off this hamster wheel. I can get off the treadmill. There is a brighter, sunnier tomorrow, that this isn't the way it's going to be. And once you understand that, then you go, oh, I don't have to live in the moment all the time. I don't have to YOLO it. Things like relationships, things like family, are things like your spirituality, your faith, all of a sudden take on so much more meaning because they're real, because you're not constantly just trying to get by. And the ability to step back and see life as thriving instead of surviving really changes your framing of the world.
Did Brandon, this have that kind of physical health impact, the sleep impact? Like specifically for our Satillionaires, what areas were reset for you in addition to the financial, in addition to the spiritual?
So it's funny you asked that. I'm like the one guy who went down the food rabbit hole and then got into Bitcoin. And the funny thing is, as I was going down that rabbit hole, I was like, every single thing they've told me about food is a total lie. Red meat is the best thing you can eat. Eggs are probably the second best thing you can eat. Carbs, sugar, this inverted food pyramid that telling us to eat bread and pasta is lunacy. It's the absolute worst thing you can put in your body. You feel like crap for a reason. You're inflamed. You develop mucus, all this stuff. And that really prompted me to ask the question, well, if we're being lied to about that, our food, just the stuff we eat, what else am I being lied to about? And I'm kind of a skeptic naturally. I've always hated the government. So that was an easy fit for me. But it made me say, okay, if they're wrong about all this stuff, they're probably wrong about money too. And that sort of just helped me down, the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Like as you go down, you confront a lot of things you thought were true. And for me, it was easy to knock those things down going, okay, yeah, that isn't true. That's, yeah, Keynesianism's ridiculous. We don't need an expanding money supply. Interest on money made out of thin air. It sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. And so it kind of helped me knock down a lot of those barriers. But then after getting into Bitcoin, I enjoyed occasional recreational substances from time to time. And that completely gone out of my life. It didn't make sense to do it anymore. It was a waste of sats. When I would get my bonus from work, I would be like immediately like, okay, what can I go spend this on? What do I get to buy now? And it was like, then the last 4 or 5 years, it's like, how quickly can I get this into my Strike app and start buying Bitcoin with this? And so the sleep, I was always a sleep Nazi. I always needed 8 hours. So that's just continued. So yeah, there's all these other branches that you end up going down that just kind of better your health. Grounding, getting out in the sun. I mean, I was vitamin D deficient. And so all of these different things for your health, for your well-being, that you just start to learn about as you go further and further down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and start branching off onto the roots that are in that hole.
Did Bitcoin change how you husband and dad?
100%. So, well, to be fair, I just had a kid in January, so that's my first kid. So I didn't have pre-Bitcoin dad status, but definitely as a husband, I wasn't like Ike Turner or anything, but I definitely could be a better husband at times, and I have. I've made a conscious effort. I just appreciate my wife so much more, and am just so thankful for her, and just grateful every day, honestly, that I ended up with her. I can't imagine going through COVID without someone that wasn't aligned with you. How willing she's been to listen to me on Bitcoin, how much trust she's put in me, and it really has just made our relationship so much better. And also a lot of it was me. I was selfish. And I still struggle with that sometimes, as we all do, I'm sure. But I'm actively working on that and saying, okay, how can I put my family's needs ahead of mine? And I don't know if I would have felt the same way having a kid. I probably would have been like one of these, oh my gosh, wait till you have kids, enjoy it now. And for me, it's been the greatest thing ever. It's been amazing. And I'm so excited about it, so happy about it. And I just hear so many miserable people out there. And I really think that misery is rooted in them putting themselves first and not really understanding that you're here to make a sacrifice. Like, you led your life, and now it's time to help someone else's life. And I think even just setting things up like Bitcoin for my son into the future, and when he's going to get that, and how I'm going to introduce him to that, and thinking about those things, and thinking about others instead of yourself. And Bitcoin brings out kind of an altruism in people. And it's because you start to as you start to realize the impacts of Bitcoin on everything else in life, you're like, man, I want that for everyone else, and especially my family, especially my son. And now how do I get other people to realize that, to see that? And it has absolutely made me a better husband. So I think my wife would agree too, by the way.
Yeah, let me jump into that for a second here, because you might have heard me say at the beginning of the show, we're on the road to number 99. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, you, Brandon, are number 59, and my wife is number 99, and we're about 10 episodes in to a 50 episode campaign where I am training like Rocky IV, getting ready for the bout against Ivan Drago. My wife is wonderful and I love her and she's the best. She lets me buy $54 worth of Bitcoin a week, dollar cost average from Bitcoin Well, goes straight to my wallet.
Shout out Bitcoin Well, by the way. Sorry.
Shout out Bitcoin Well. Let's go. We love those guys. Shout out Chantel. Shout out Adam and Conrad.
And Riley.
And Riley. Yep. Okay. And so, I don't want to become hyperbolic here. It's fun to talk about it being a showdown, but she lets me make like blockchain Wayne and just stack up a little $50 a week. And I know that's going to take our family where we need to go over the years to come. However,
now I like this new diet spiel. I can tell that Kristen has had a few words with you to let you know that if you don't check your tone a little bit, there may or may not be repercussions.
Oh, she was like, stop. And some poor fellow in the comments was like, bro, stop. We know you're going for views and attention. You know your wife ain't like that, homie. Be real. And I'm like, all right, appreciate you, love you, sir. So she lets me get my little weekly piece, and I love her for that. But what do I have? The disease of more. What do I have? Bitcoin laser eyes. So what do I want? I want the entirety of my wealth to be stored safely and securely in Bitcoin. And when I go to the Raleigh Bitcoin meetup on Tuesday evenings, and I speak to a guy who says, look, man, I haven't seen $1 in 10 years. All my wealth is in Bitcoin. I put all my transactions on a credit card. And once a month, I sell off enough sats to pay off the credit card. I don't even see the dollars. They just go sats to dollars to credit card. See ya. 12 times a year, he sells off some sats. Rest of the time, he ain't got no dollars. Where's the dollar? Doesn't have any. That's what I want for myself, right? And for my family, because I know that every single dollar I exchange into Bitcoin is going to take my family exponentially further, exponentially faster than just doing a dollar cost average each week, right? So where am I going with this? I'm looking for advice here, Brandon, because it sounds like you introduced your wife to Bitcoin and over the years helped her get to a place where she might be more open to it than she was at the beginning. So what was your experience like introducing your wife to Bitcoin? What recommendations, strategies, advice do you have for me? How did that go for you? And where is she on the Bitcoin maxi spectrum compared to you after the work you've put in?
I would start by making sure you spend as much time in the car and she has no control of the radio knob and you just put on as many podcasts. No, I'm kidding. In all seriousness, big kudos to my wife. She was willing to be open. She was willing to listen. She came from, her parents came from communist Poland and came to the United States and literally kept physical cash and never invested in the stock market, never did anything like that. And I kind of, she came from that background before she knew me. And I said, you can't keep cash. It's a melting ice cube. You're losing value. You gotta talk to someone. We gotta get you set up appropriately. And over, that was kind of 2016, 2017 type time frame, sort of before I really went on my full-on Bitcoin journey. And she started to see the results. And she was like, okay, you're right about this. This is appreciating. This is better than owning dollars. And so I kind of built up some rapport and some trust. And I hope that, with your wife or others in the situation, as they see you buying Bitcoin, as they see it retaining its value and increasing in its purchasing power against the dollar, that's kind of like the impetus to say, okay, at least I was right about this. I'm not crazy. Well, I may be crazy, but at least I'm right about this. Can we talk more? Eventually, I did actually listen to a lot of podcasts around her, and God bless her for suffering through some of, the 4-hour Lex Friedman, Michael Saylor interview with me in the car.
So good. So good, though.
It was actually really good. She actually really liked that one. So, but she agreed to, I said, just read the Bitcoin Standard. I said, just it'll help you understand what's going on here. And she was buying on her own. She was like, okay, I see my husband doing it. I'll do a little bit. And next thing I know, she's educated on the topic, 100% gets it, sees how much it's done for our family. And now she's, I've got her connected to the node in a Sparrow wallet. And she's like, I got to get more in there. I got to get to this number. I got to get to this threshold. And now, she's turned into crazier than me now with trying to get to her stacking goals and things like that. So to the extent you can start small, see the results, and just have an honest conversation of, hey, would you read the Bitcoin Standard? Would you, or, maybe even something like the bullish case for Bitcoin, which is much smaller and shorter, that might be more digestible, something like that. I would even say the Sovereign, shameless shill here, we have an ebook on our website. You can get it for free. It's 80 PDF pages. It reads like 30 book pages. Just something simple like that to pass along and say, would you at least be willing to check this out? And if it doesn't make sense, okay, understood. But I have found 100% of the time, people come back to me and they at least say, okay, I get it now. I understand your argument. I may not get the tech. I may not actually buy some because I'm stuck in my ways and things like this are hard, but I get the point. I get the value proposition. And so that would be my recommendation. Although now they have a couple other documentaries out there that are like 30, 45 an hour. Just, hey, would you sit down and watch this YouTube video with me? And that might even be easier now. I didn't really have those luxuries back when I was trying to do it with my wife, but that's probably a better route now, to be honest.
So you mentioned Sovereign, and we had number 49, Daniel, on the show. You joined about 2-3 months ago as CEO to his founder and CMO. So tell us the story of how you two got together, why you decided to come on board, and what you all are trying to do at Sovereign.
So I worked in the traditional finance space, as I mentioned, for about 19 years. I was handling distressed credits for a financial institution, and effectively was basically an internal consultant for the company. Hey, I think we need to do this with this company. I think we should do that. I would work with third-party consultants on developing a plan to help try to turn around operations or get the business back on track. And at the same time, I've just been looking on bitcoinerjobs.com. We need more of those sites. We need better stuff on that front, and hopefully that'll start to come as the ecosystem develops here. And I replied to just tons of postings on there, and I 99% of the time I never heard back from anyone. And I saw Sovereign; they were looking for basically a consultant. I was like, consultant, Bitcoin. I've been looking to exit sort of fiat land for a couple of years at that point, and really wanted to do something in Bitcoin. And a lot of times it's hard for someone coming from the traditional financial space a lot of the time, because there's just not a ton of great jobs. Like, let's be honest, the fiat system is a parasite, and it's like, you're part of the parasitic system. Come find a place to work in Bitcoin. And it's like, they kind of don't mesh that well. And I was like, oh, well, this is a way to do consulting, a skill I actually have, a background I have. I speak the language of business, and I could actually come do this. Talked with Daniel, talked with another gentleman named Joe McGee, who was co-CEO at the time, and just really seemed like a great fit. I came on as an independent contractor, basically said, hey, as you have availability, feel free to put me on a gig. Good to go. That was kind of a month or two. And then Daniel just reached out to everyone in the Slack channel and said, hey, is there someone interested in maybe taking a more full-time role, being sort of the face of the organization, getting out there, communicating with businesses, communicating with other people in the Bitcoin community? And I said, you know what? I think I would. There was some stuff going on at my job at the time that was really pushing me away from the company I was working at, and not to air any dirty laundry, but just a clear divergence of the way things had been in the past at the organization. And I said, you know what, I think I would, and I can't do my current job and do what you're asking at the same time. And Daniel was very insistent, keep your job. Maybe this isn't the right time. I said, no. I said, I'm interested in doing this. And if I do it, I want to commit full time. And I want to know that that's what you want. And so we kind of went back and forth for like a month, and basically just said, yeah, I'm going to come on. I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to run the business side of things while you get out, do the marketing, and try to get our name out there, try to connect with my network, try to get on as many of these podcasts like yourself, and just get the word out about us, and really start getting the name out there. And it's what I've wanted to do forever. And so here we are. I got back from paternity leave at my old job, put in my 2 weeks within a half hour of getting back to the office. And here I am. So.
Wow. So we talked a little bit about Sovereign helping businesses stack sats, basically, right? I mean, that's what you guys are after.
So, I mean, I would say the ideal customer, the sort of utopian fantasy of Sovereign would be someone refers a business to us. They have heard of Bitcoin, but they don't really understand it. And they're going, we need to understand this. Can help us understand this. We would come in, educate the people. We have programs, we have presentations, we have staff to be able to come out to your company, educate you, educate your employees, anyone you want, come out, educate you about it, get you to understand the need for Bitcoin within your business, how inflation's destroying your company and you don't realize it. And then, okay, got it, understood. Now help us get set up. How do we buy this? How do we do it? And we have a trusted partner network where we can say, we'll get you to the right place. We'll get you to River. You can buy from these guys. Here's how you do self-custody. Here's multi-signature. If you feel uncomfortable with that, here's Thea. They'll take care of that for you. And so helping people navigate through the weeds, avoid a lot of the pitfalls that unfortunately so many of us have fallen into. And then ultimately, okay, you understand Bitcoin, you've bought the Bitcoin. Now, how do we plan for your future? How do we do long-term capital planning for you? What's 5 years from now? What projects do you want to undertake? What can you afford to set aside of your business? Let's come up with a sort of black swan, right tail, left tail event and figure out, okay, if those things happen, what do you need to survive now? What's your excess? And let's start there. Let's start with getting that into Bitcoin. Let's start building your treasury that way. To the extent that you become more comfortable with Bitcoin, that you see your purchasing power increase, we can start upping that number. But let's just start there. And then let's say in 3 years from now, 4 years from now, do we need to purchase a new piece of machinery? Do we want to go to market in some new market? Do we want to try to get a new customer base? How do we start using the capital that's going to accrue to you via holding Bitcoin to grow your business or differentiate? Maybe you don't want to grow your business. Maybe I was talking with Ben from Peony Lane Wines last night, and he said, I want to downsize my business. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, guess what? You can hold your money in a reserve asset, and let's talk about how we can use that to help facilitate whatever you as a business owner want to do next. Grow, shrink, stay the same, expand, whatever it might be. And that would sort of be the soup to nuts, start to finish product package offering that Sovereign would give to an organization. However, we can step in at any point along the way to any of those sort of steps. We would love to come to Ithaca Hummus,
Yeah.
No, that would be a very lively and interesting discussion that I'd be excited to host.
We would love that.
There's so much about Bitcoin that we're never going to fit it all into one chat about sats. So we ask each of our guests if they'd like to come back on in 9 months and give us an update on their Bitcoin baby. Would you be willing to do that for us, Brandon?
Of course, absolutely.
So let's recap the conversation with Brandon today. Brandon worked for almost 2 decades in the traditional financial system, and in a very vulnerable share, basically said, "Yeah, I was the financial recession's hitman. I came, I got your house. I came, I got your car. I came, I seized your assets, like kicking dudes out that had been there for decades. Now, bye-bye, you're underwater, right?" And we could feel how that was, it's like polluting your system to do that on behalf of it's polluting your system to work for a system that's busted. And you're on a hamster wheel repossessing things for people who are also on hamster wheels. And not a single one of us can get off the hamster wheel to a place where our hard work is taking us somewhere. And I loved this line that you gave about needing luck. Each one of us is in a system so busted that getting up each day and working hard to add value to the marketplace and then simply taking that money we've earned and saving it for a rainy day it won't work. It won't work because the money is a melting ice cube. And so we think, well, we need luck. We need to gamble literally in a casino. We need to gamble online. We need to gamble in the crypto casino, or we need to go snuff out a unicorn and somehow invest in it before it explodes. Or literally, I don't even know, man. Just go find some freaking money somewhere, somehow dig it up from me. I have no idea. But we aren't allowed to be, there's not any dignity in that system, because all I want to do is get up, work hard for my family, generate revenue as a result of that, and then store that for later. I don't want to be a schmishmillionaire. I don't want to be the next Jeffrey Bezos. I just want to stack sats each day and have that mean something, and have that take me from a place where I'm living for today, I'm vacationing today, I'm spending today, I'm eating garbage, I'm choosing screens over sleep, to a place where I'm saying, you know what? I don't want that little doodad in the checkout aisle of my local big box store. I want to stack some sats for later. I don't want to go eat fast food when I've already paid for food that's in my house. I just have to actually make it. I don't want to double spend on food. And you kind of had this really interesting piece where so many of our guests saw Bitcoin the first time, did not get it. And then when they see it the next time, they do get it. And you had that, but you almost had like a triple decker scenario where it was like the first time you saw it, you were trying to reclaim your money off of a defunct casino. And your pal said, well, we'll send you Bitcoin. And it sounded like it was at $150 a coin. We didn't even touch that part. We didn't even touch the.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, we didn't. You said no thanks. You came back to it during the 2017 bull run, and you got it enough to get some. And what I like is then 2020, there's a third layer where you're like, wait, Bitcoin. Hold on, Bitcoin. Like you went past just getting some to really learning about it, really jumping down the rabbit hole, the podcast, the shows. Hang on, if this is true, then what else is true? Or if this is true, then what else is false? And we do believe on this show that if we can just speak to people one at a time and get them to a place where they're willing to stack their first sats, that phase 2 for Brandon, over time, they'll go phase 3. And they'll go from stacking sats because they kind of get it to understanding and loving Bitcoin because they see what Bitcoin actually is, right? And so you had that wonderful like triple decker situation there. And, this time preference, Bitcoin reset, Brandon. It reset your preference for time. It reset your hope for the future. It reset your spirituality and religion, your food, sleep. Hard, really stringent about that, but it maintained it. It preserved it. So all of these, it's almost, and I feel like Bitcoin is almost like a pinch point through which passing anything cleans it and spits it out better on the other side. It's like a filter for removing impurities. And we can see that right here with number 59, Brandon, on the show. So we're going to make you an offer. Before we do, two things. Where can people go if they want to hang out with you online? If they either want to hang out with you or if they want to get in touch with your business, what's that look like?
Yeah. So me personally, I'm on Nostr only. I am Plebe Anon on Nostr, Plebianon, a pseudo clever portmanteau of plebeian and anonymous. And the official sovereign account, you can find us as spelled on my shirt here, SOVREIGN, on LinkedIn or on Twitter. Our founder, Daniel Frank, number 49, who is on here, is at Daniel Frank on Twitter as well. Our head of business development, Jeff Newman, you can look him up on LinkedIn as well.
So let's try some hummus here in the studio, and then we'll make Brandon his offer. So which flavor do we have here?
Well, Brandon selected the olive oil and sea salt.
Olive oil and sea salt.
Graza.
Okay. The Ithaca X Graza collab. So let me grab a fat glob here. I'm going to do a little bit of a
little twirl.
I'm going to get a little bit of a then I'm going to pop in here.
Okay.
So, Brandon, I'll serve as your taste buds here in the studio today. Is this red meat? It's not. Is it an egg? It's not an egg, but I'm about to crunch down on it. We're going to see how it tastes. Cheers.
So clean, so pure.
That I know this is going to be blasphemy.
What?
That's like seriously contending with classic for me.
I don't mind.
Seriously,
I don't mind that.
For all my classic men out there, my favorite flavor, Brandon, of Ithaca Hummus is classic.
I agree. I like to keep it simple, which is kind of why I went with the olive oil and sea salt. I feel like you can overpower the hummus, and then you don't really get the good garbanzo texture and flavor in there.
The texture is the best of any hummus I've tasted.
Yeah.
I actually can't do any other hummus now, except for probably, I'm sure, something homemade or something from the Mediterranean. Like, if I go hit Neomond Deli here in Raleigh, probably some of that. But like store-bought hummus, dude, it's goop. It's paste. After Ithaca, can't touch anything else. Love the olive oil flavor here and the sea salt. It's like, I can't describe. It's almost like a gentle taste.
Yeah.
It's creamy. It's olive oily, but not gross.
It's
just
good.
Like, golly. Okay. So, Brandon, let's make you your offer.
All right, Brandon. So we believe in exchanging value for value here on the Sat Chats show. So in exchange for your time and experience and everything that you shared with us and our audience today, we would like to offer you a gift in the form of a choice. So you've got $50, $50 there, encased in glass so that we don't have to touch that dirty, stinky old thing, or $50 in Bitcoin, which if you look at the Clark Moody Bitcoin dashboard right now, the exchange rate for one Bitcoin is $92,750, which equals 1,078 sats per dollar times 50 is 53,900 sats, or 50 ugly dollars.
Well, since we're doing a value for value exchange, and I would like my time and energy stored in a money that someone else can't print, I will take the Sats.
Yes,
Great.
let's
Best
go,
answer so
dude.
far, right there.
Yeah, Brandon's like, dude, well, if it's value for value, I can't take the cash because there's no value there.
Yeah.
That's just
right.
me getting a melting ice cube in exchange for my ice cube that isn't melting.
Yeah.
So we love that, Brandon. Number 59, you bring our scoreboard to 54 who have stacked the sats and 5 who need a little bit more time. This is the part of the show where we ask you, Satillionaires, for your value in exchange for ours. What do we value? Right now, it's YouTube subscriptions. Smash the subscribe button if you liked what Brandon had to say. If you are among the first 999 plus one, you will be magically entered to win 1 million sats, not 54,000 sats, 20x what Brandon just got. Y'all know y'all want some million sats. You'll also be putting your weight with our weight to unlock a live show Friday mornings at 10 a.m. And don't forget, each time you do subscribe, a brand new Bitcoiner gets his laser eyes. If you'd like to support the show directly, there's 3 ways to do it. Zap us your sats on the Lightning Network. It's satchats@getalby.com. Sign up to come on the show, satchats.com. There's one button when you go there. It's not hard. Or you can donate directly on chain. Our Bitcoin address is in the show notes along with everything else. So thanks so much for listening. Remember, Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. Also, our guests' views are their own. Thanks so much, Satillionaires. We'll see you tomorrow.